All right, y'all. How's it going tonight? Looks like I'm on the little screen there. There we go. I wish they'd get this stuff right. They've been changing this software and this StreamYard a couple of months now, and they still ain't got it right. But they'll get it eventually. But hopefully, you guys are having a great week. I want to give a shout out to a couple of people before we get started here. The first one is the gentleman that made that video for me is Mark Broadwell. Yeah, Mark Broadwell. He is the brother of a guy that I used to be on the police department with, and hey, I thought it was pretty cool, so thought I'd go ahead and drop it in there. But the entire video, it's only like a 2-minute video. It's pretty cool. It's linked down below in the description box. So if you get a chance, go over there and check that out. I'm sure he'd enjoy it. But what we need to do right now, maybe see who's in the house. But first, I want to give one more shout out, and that's to the folks over at Orlando Shooting Sports. Tomorrow we're celebrating the 249th birthday of our country. And I think there ain't no better way to celebrate that than getting out and exercising your freedom of your Second Amendment rights. So go over there to Orlando Shooting Sports and have a blast. That's a good bunch of folks over there. But let's see who we got in here tonight. All right. First one in, Tammy Joe, looks like. Thank you for being here, girl. Appreciate it very much. Nick L's in the house. Hill Bill from Montana. All right. The real deal right there. Hill Bill, the real deal. There we go. Michelle J from Tennessee. We're going to be up your way on the 17th, I think it is. But I think as close as we're going to get to you is Chattanooga, which is quite a ways from you still, I know. So I might shoot you a text and see if we can hook something up. But that's quite a drive for you. I think it's, what, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours from where you live down to Chattanooga. But I would like to do a meet and greet if we could. Wanda Landry's with us. Yeah. Grammy C. Are you having storms up there? We're having them here too. I'm flying solo tonight because Lady Prepper's in there with Tucker. He goes crazy when it starts thundering. Plus, we got some fireworks going on out here too. In the rain. You believe in that? But he don't like either one of them. So hopefully he'll calm down here in a little while and we'll be able to go to sleep. Who else we got with us? Lynn Stalker's in the house. Wants to say hello to everybody. Come on down. Who else we got down here? I think I saw a couple of more. There's the Raider right there. All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Texas Raider in Oklahoma. Can you imagine that? That's like an oxymoron. But hey, I don't live down that way, so that's not my luggage to carry. All right. Come on down. Who we got here? I know we got more than what I'm seeing here because that number is bigger than that. There's obviously a lot of people here that's not talking. There's Rebecca's Happy Homestead. All right. Thank you for dropping in tonight. Hope you guys are getting along well up there in the great state of Arkansas. And there's the state of Washington dropping in. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for dropping in, Carrie. Come on down. There's J1 right there. All right. Yeah. All right. Come on down. JS Genesis Design. My man right there. Yeah. We got to get together again, buddy. We got to get together over at the gun range again. There's Kayla. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. There's OVP, the man right there, y'all. Go over and check his channel out. Him and I think it's Half-Ass Prepper or something like that. And Rural 2 IC, they do a live stream. They do a podcast every Sunday night at 8 p.m. called 0 Hour. This coming up this weekend. I'm going to be joining them Sunday night at 8 p.m. So go over to Rural 2 IC's channel and you'll be able to join us over there. I don't know what the topic is. They're going to drop it on me. Let's see how it works out. They might regret it, but that's the way it's working out. There's my man, Rural, right there. All right. Yeah. Let's go. That's right, buddy. Appreciate you being here. Come on down. There's Diane is with us. Yeah. Who else we got in the house here? Is that it? I think I'm getting close to the bottom. There's David. David T right there. All right. Come on down. Who else? There's Bill. Bill is with us. Thank you so much, buddy, from St. Cloud. Got to get back down your way, too. Got to get back down to the rifle range. I've got a new laser sight, reflex sight, I should say. I got to dial in on a rifle, so I got to get down your way to do that. All right. Nick Easy's with us. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it very much, sir. Yeah, we picked up a few new subscribers this week. I guess Nick is one of them. I hadn't seen him before. Professional lurker on scene. Everybody's got to do something, buddy. There's another new one. Thank you, Anna, so much for being with us. Who else we got? Man, y'all just keep popping in there. I appreciate it. All right. I think I hit the bottom of that list. But thank you guys for being here. If I missed you during the roll call, I apologize. I truly do. But you guys can hear my voice is going away. Happens every year this time. Don't know why. Can't explain it. Does. It comes. It goes. But got something coming up on Saturday for you guys. This right here. Don't know if you can see that well, but that's a jar of sausage. 3 years old. It was canned 3 years ago. Lady Prepper canned that, and I'm going to try it out and see if it's still edible or see if she's trying to kill me. We'll find out together. I'm going to do a video. We're going to pop the top on that. It's been sealed up for 3 years. We're going to see how it tastes. All right. But this week I did a poll. A lot of you voted in it, and I appreciate it so much. I was thinking about changing the channel name to OP Nation instead of the Orlando Prepper. And you're not going to believe the results we got. Here they are right here. 50-50. 124 votes. And it came down 72 to 72. 50-50. To leave it like it is or to change it. So, guess I'm just going to leave it like it is. Ain't no need in confusing people if I don't have to. All right. But tomorrow, folks, like I said, we're celebrating the 249th birthday of the greatest country in the history of the world. And I just wanted to jump in here and wish all of you guys a happy Independence Day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this channel. I appreciate it so much. But I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions about the Founding Fathers. This right here is what you always see when they talk about the Founding Fathers. Bunch of old gray-haired guys sitting around making up rules, right? That ain't exactly true. The average age of the Founding Fathers was 44 years. The youngest one, Thomas Lynch, was 26 years old. And of course, the oldest one was Ben Franklin, who was 70 years old. But when you hear all of these people complaining about all the old rich white slave owners that, started the country to oppress people and, make it the worst nation in the history of the world, well, now you can fire back at them. That's not true. There was only one guy that was really old, and that was Benjamin Franklin. And he was a player back in the day. He was a playboy, 70-year-old playboy. But the Founding Fathers weren't that old, guys. There's several movies, television shows out there about it. But the one that I found to be closest to the truth was the old History Channel series, Sons of Liberty. So if you haven't seen that, find somewhere where it's streaming and check it out. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. That was a dang good series based on, like I said, the closest to the truth that I've seen so far in movies or TV. So I guarantee you'll enjoy that. But let's get on to what we're facing here. Iran and Israel's cranked it up again. Iran has called for the death of America again, and called for the followers of Islam to kill Americans, to kill our political, I hate to call them leaders because they're not leaders. They don't lead me. Our political representatives, let me put it that way. But Iran really don't have a chance really to do much to us. I mean, we know there's a lot of sleeper cells in the United States. Joe Biden let them in, hoping they would vote Democrat in the future. And that's why they're here. But the only hope they got, I think, is an EMP. But if they set off just one, they have to get it all the way to Kansas to set it off in the geographic center of the lower 48. A little town called Lebanon, Kansas is the actual center of the United States. But here's the thing. If they set one off, you see that red circle around that star right there? All the electronics in that circle, all of them, is dead. It's that simple. If you're outside of that circle, I did a video earlier this week, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, explaining that if you're like 150, 200 miles outside of where that EMP would detonate, your electronics will still be good if they're not hooked to the grid. If you have laptops, if you have cell phones, you know, your vehicles, the EMP is the post-apocalyptic author's best friend. You know, they want to make out like if one goes off, everything dies. That's not true. The only thing that's going to die, and it will die no matter where you are in the United States, if it's connected to the grid. If it's plugged into the wall, it's going to die. Because our electrical wires, our electrical grid is going to act like an antenna. When that thing pops off, it's going to suck all that up and shoot it all over the country. But the grid is, there are actually 3 grids in the United States, the East, the West, and Texas. But they're all connected. It's not like they're totally isolated or separate from each other. They are all connected. But if you're outside of, like I said, a 200-mile range of where an EMP is detonated, your car is still going to work. Your truck's still going to work. Your cell phone, you'll be able to, you know, turn it on and activate it. Cell towers are going to be dead. But right now is the time to load that cell phone up with information, prepping information, videos, books, you know, downloads, any kind of information you can access in the future. Plus, if you have a laptop, like I do, in a Faraday cage, fill that sucker up with information, guys. Fill it up. I've got one right over there in a Faraday cage. It's got tons of information, prepping information, videos. Like I said, show me how to do things. Books to teach me how to do things. Right now is the time to do that. Load them up, you know. Go to a pawn shop and get you a little cheap computer. Load it up with information, stick it in a Faraday cage. The Faraday cage is just for safety. I don't think there is going to be any EMP pop off, you know, over Orlando. What we got in the comment section here? Ooh, excuse me. Wow, everybody's watching for EMPs and sleepers. What are we putting in the water and air attack? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Our attack can come from anywhere. But these are the main ones that we're here to talk about tonight. You're right. It could come from anywhere at any time. But right now we're talking about EMPs and, you know, a nuclear threat, stuff like that. But like I said, that if you notice that little circle around that star right there, that's about a 200-mile radius from Lebanon, Kansas. Outside of that, if it went off over that little town, it would have to be plugged into an outlet somewhere for it to die. But like I said, that'll happen here in Florida, up in Washington, Maine, Southern California. If it's plugged in, it's going to die. But if it's not, it's still going to be operational. Like I said, your cell phone's going to work. Cell towers will be dead. But load it up with information. Load those computers up with information. Get spare components. Don't throw away any old cell phones if you buy a new one. Load it up, stick it in a Faraday cage. And people think this threat is only from Iran. It's not. Right now, we have 2 North Korean satellites that orbit over the United States every 94 minutes. They've been there for years. Nobody knows what they're for. They're not giving up. The only signal they're giving off is that beep, 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 so they can be tracked by the people in North Korea to make sure it's still there. But nobody knows why they're there. But if they are EMPs, they would have the most effective, they would do the most damage if they set them off near Denver and near Johnson City, Tennessee. And those little rings you see there around those stars, that's where everything dies. Cars don't work there anymore, okay? Nothing works there anymore. But outside of that, like I said, it has to be plugged into an outlet for it to die. Now, it'd be nice if, everybody's sitting in the dark and you have your little solar generator lighting up your house. But you better be ready for what might come after that. You got to be ready to defend yourself. You got to be able to defend what you have. Because when the whole world's dark and you have one light bulb working, a lot of people know it if you're not careful. You got to make sure. But like I said, your cars are going to work. Looks like K-Hud dropped in. Thank you, brother. I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Thank you for coming back to see us. But like I said, outside of those little circles, your vehicle's going to work. The only problem is you're not going to be able to put gas in them. Back in the days of the old manual pumps, you remember with the little rotary counters on them, click, click, click. They were the mechanical type pumps. Those would have worked, but nowadays you don't see those anymore. All you see is digital gas pumps. And the pumps are hooked into the grid. But right now, here's a brainchild for you might want to think about, because it'd make you a lot of money. Right here. Bingo. These fuel pumps, these portable fuel pumps. You can see they're cheap. Of course, you have to buy the hose to go with them, but the hose isn't that expensive. But imagine if you're the only guy that would have access to the fuel that's in the fuel tanks at your local service station. You're the only one that would have access to it. Celebrating farm life. All right. Making bills with us. Thank you so much for being here. Imagine if you're the only one that can get that fuel out of the ground, what you'll be able to do, how much you'll be able to make, what you'll be able to trade for it. You will always have access to fuel. I would wager everything I have that nobody in this little area here we call Audubon Park, nobody has a portable fuel pump. I'd be willing to bet that. But if you get one, you spend $120, $150, $200, get one, you stash it away somewhere, everything goes out, and you will be in charge of the fuel. You'll always have fuel. And you'll be able to charge people whatever you want to make sure they can get it. Now, you're going to have some people to help you with that. You're not going to be able to stand there by yourself and pump that gas out of the ground without somebody coming at you. So you got to have your mag with you when you do that. You need to think about that, guys, because that'd make you a very rich person in a new world full of poor people, and they're all going to be poor when things go bad. I don't care how much you got in the stock market. I don't care how much you got in Bitcoin or BitCash or whatever. When the lights go out, you have nothing. Cash is eventually going to be no good. For the first probably 3 to 6 months, cash will still be good, but everything will be so expensive. If you don't have a lot of cash, you ain't going to be able to get what you need to live. Get those coins, guys. Gold and silver. Mankind has had a coin-based currency for 5,000 years, and that's not going to change. The tougher things get, the more they'll be worth. So you need to think about that. If that one pops off and kills the electrical grid, I thought I had a graphic in here that showed how the grid's connected, but I guess not. Let me see if I can find it. You'll see if I can find it here. Oh me. Think I have it. No, sure don't. Ain't got it. But like I said, the East, the West, and Texas, they're all connected. They are separate, but they're connected. So if one dies, it's going to kill the other two because the drain is going to be so bad. Now, places like Alaska and Hawaii, they have their own grid that's not connected to the ones in the lower 48. So they won't have that problem. But I'd rather live in Florida and sweat in the summer than live in Alaska where they have electricity. That's just my opinion. But that's the EMP threat. Now we got another threat. Like I said, Iran don't really have a ICBM that can reach the United States. I've told you guys several times. But Russia does, of course, China does. But if we have an all-out nuclear war, according to AI-based intelligence, these are the top 10 cities that will get nuked first. These are the cities. Now, we're going to get into states here in just a minute because there's some states that's definitely going to go absolutely be obliterated. But if you're in the area of these cities right here, New York, Washington, D.C., L.A., Chicago, San Francisco, they should nuke that now. I wouldn't care. Seattle, there's another one that can be erased. Sorry, Carrie. Miami, Boston, Philadelphia, and Atlanta. Most of those are major media hubs. That's why they are targets. I think the only ones that are not really is Seattle and probably Miami. The rest of them are kind of media hubs in the United States that they would want to take out right away. So if you're in those areas, if you don't have those, masks to be able to get out of there, evacuate safely, you need to do it. Got to be careful what I say here. But like I said, there are states that are just going to be obliterated. And there are those in the red box right there. Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, and Nebraska. Because that's where most of our ICBMs are located. And they are definitely going to be targeted. And our enemies know exactly where those silos are. And they're going to try to bury them just like we did the Iranian nuclear threat. They're going to try to bury them right off the bat. And hopefully they won't be able to. If it does get that bad, hopefully we'll get our stuff in the air before they do obliterate it. But in that case, nobody's going to win. Not us, not them, and nobody. If that does happen, I tell you where, I want the first one to go off right over my head. I don't want to be trying to survive in a nuclear holocaust. Don't want to do it. Ain't this a great topic for America's birthday? But I'm telling you all this so you will get ready, just in case. I think our biggest threat is our economy. I think it's going to collapse. Nobody has said a word about us going over $37 trillion in debt. It's impossible for that to be paid off. Will never be even again. This country's broke. and it just keeps spending more and more. They added $3 trillion more to the budget today with a big, beautiful bill. There's a lot in there I like. There's a lot in there I don't like. The only thing really that I was concentrating on was the short act that they had put into that bill. If you're not familiar with that, that eliminated the regulations on short barrel rifles, short barrel shotguns, and suppressors, noise suppressors for firearms. It was going to totally do away with it, but they modified it where you still have to register all of those with the federal government, but there's going to be a zero fee instead of the $200 fee for each one of them. And a register for those weapons is illegal. The federal government has said so. A registry for firearms is illegal. And then they turn right around today and they enact one. And that's not going to stand up. Gun Owners of America is already filing a lawsuit, even though the president hasn't even signed it into law yet. They're ready to file a lawsuit to stop that, which they should do. Because registries are illegal. It's that simple. We'll see how that shakes out. But that was, I mean, all the other stuff in there, yeah, they're cutting out Medicaid for a lot of people. And of course, the Democrats are complaining about it. Not going to get into that. About to get off on a political rant, and I'm trying to get away from those. Y'all know that. But there's a lot of good in that bill and a lot of bad in that bill. Farmer made it. Thank you so much, sir. It's more important to kill bad bills than to pass a good one. Who said that? Coolidge. Okay. I don't know about that. But we don't have control of that. What we have control of is us, where we live, what we can do, just in case things go sideways. That's why I come here every week to try to help you guys out. That's why I do these little videos, so you can learn a little something to get ready just in case everything does go sideways. Now, there are some signs that a nuclear attack is coming that you can be aware of if you just stay aware and see what's going on. And the first one is when countries start recalling their diplomats from the United States back home. That's not a good sign, guys. Another one is when the politicians just leave Washington. They're not going to stay there because they know Washington's a target. So they're going to leave. And it's not going to be like they can keep it in secret. We'll all know if that happens. But here's the little subtle one that they're going to put out there that you need to pay attention to. When you start hearing public service announcements about things that are prepper related, when you see them on TV, you hear them on the radio, stuff like that, then that's when something's up, because they're not going to tell us. They always know more than they tell us. But these 3 signs right here that I just gave you, just be aware. Just keep watching. If all the politicians leave Washington, damn good sign something's going to happen. And like I said, the other nations call their diplomats because they don't want them to be nuked while they're in Washington. Just watch. Just kind of keep an eye out on what's going on. That's just 3 signs that you'll be able to see. It won't be a deal where, okay, a nuclear threat is here. They're never going to do that. They're never going to let you in on it like that. So just watch. Be ready. But, all right, tomorrow we start that countdown. It'll be 365 days to the 250th birthday of the United States. Hope you guys have a great Independence Day. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it with your family. Get out and have some fun. I've seen other prepper channels talking about how, there's a threat from this, and a threat from that, and a threat from that because it's a holiday. Oh, we're under a threat all the time, guys. We're America. It's that simple. Go out, live your life, have fun, spend time with your family, celebrate our independence. All right? Hopefully you will. So with that, I'm going to say stay strong and keep prepping, y'all, and pray for the USA. See you Sunday night over at Rural 2IC's 0 Hour. The Orlando Prepper is out.